In Montana, we have a unique constitutional clause that guarantees the right to a clean and healthful environment. It's ingrained in our Constitution, it's ingrained in our culture, but it also is under threat.
You know the impact this has had.
I have the privilege of speaking directly to my government, and I have a responsibility to do so because there's an issue that I see that needs to change.
This isn't just a fight for 16 youth plaintiffs fighting for their home. This is a fight for democracy. This is a fight for holding our government accountable for their actions.
We know that this part of Montana, this beautiful place that we live, is not isolated from the rest of the world. Our impacts here impact our citizens, impact the outside of the state as well.
My family's been in Montana for 6 generations. I think my appreciation of nature and my understanding of how important it is for our lives, for our livelihoods, is deeply ingrained. I'm Grace, I'm 20.
How bad did it swim?
No, they were like stoked on it.
Okay, good.
1, 2, 3.
I am a student, I'm a raft guide, and I'm also a plaintiff in the constitutional climate lawsuit held versus state of Montana.
Please be seated.
16 young Montanans brought a case against the state of Montana and various defendants. The case was filed in 2020. I was 16 when I joined. And the case's premise is that the state, by promoting use of fossil fuels, contributes to climate change.
In Held v. State of Montana, we're arguing that Montana's laws and actions promoting fossil fuels are harming the youth plaintiffs and ultimately violating their constitutional rights. My name is Nate Bellinger. I'm a senior staff attorney at Our Children's Trust. Our Children's Trust is a nonprofit law firm. We represent youth from around the country, around the world, in bringing constitutional climate cases against their governments in order to secure their right to a stable climate system.
Growing up in Montana, it was really hard to deal with smoky skies. Living in smoke made our lungs weaker.
Montana has a really unique and strong constitution. There are constitutional rights to a clean and healthful environment in Montana, to equal protection, to individual dignity, to health, safety, and happiness. And so our goal in representing youth was to put a face to the climate change story and really underscoring the threats that climate change pose to their lives, their securities, their constitutional rights, and their futures.
I think for my generation, it's kind of omnipresent. Like we've always known, we grew up with the fact of climate change. I know that it really came to my attention early in high school when I was learning about the glaciers melting. I was recognizing changes in the water levels in the rivers. I was experiencing some intense wildfire smoke. And this was around the same time that the Fridays for Future movement had started. And so they were in the news a lot. And so I was starting to recognize some of the same fear reflected in all of these people around the world and their frustration with the systems that are causing this crisis and their desire to do something about it. And so I was looking for ways to be more involved on a wider scale to try to implement that sort of government level solution. And that's when I heard about Our Children's Trust. And so I contacted the attorneys, started meeting with them. And I was interested in being a part of this lawsuit, not really thinking it would go anywhere in particular. I talked to my parents about it. They're like, this would be great. You'll learn about the legal system, good experience, but don't get your hopes up.
This case is about 16 brave Montanans and the harms they have each endured at the hands of their own government.
The CO2 cycle as a whole.
We had about a dozen incredible expert witnesses. And they testified on everything from climate science to how climate change impacts youth, health, and mental health.
I remember watching a documentary in middle school about the melting ice caps.
In my testimony, I spoke about watching the glaciers in Glacier National Park melt. And also the weight of personal questions like if I should have children.
My name is Kean Tanner. I'm 19. I'm from Big Fork, Montana, and I'm a plaintiff in Held v. Montana.
Mom?
14.
I was 14 when the case was filed.
Honestly, at the beginning, it was really nerve-wracking. It was like, I don't know what I'm gonna say. And then I sort of got into a groove, and it was just, what's your name? And then I was like, okay, I'm fine, just breathe. And it was really liberating.
Watching Ricky Held, testify about working on her family's cattle ranch in 110-degree heat with wildfire smoke in the air, and cattle are dying because there's not enough water, and just how intense that is. Olivia spoke about her allergies and how intense allergy season is now, the increased pollen count. Claire spoke about how she owes her ability to walk and run to the outdoors because she had a physical impediment that was overcome through hiking.
For your tribal community. It is very important.
Sariel spoke about watching her traditional knowledge and the sharing of stories be threatened by lack of snowpack, by changing plants, by all of these shifts in the natural environment. And I think a common thread for all of us is twofold. It's love and it's fear. We love this place so much, and we are scared that it's going to be lost.
I mean, I think one thing that runs through all of them is just a really strong sense of justice and to doing what's right, both for them and for other youth. And it also takes courage. I mean, it's not easy to sue your government, especially in a place like Montana where there's, not everybody supports what they're doing. Some of our plaintiffs have lost friends and become, criticized in their communities. And notwithstanding that blowback, every single plaintiff has stuck with this case for over 4 years. And at the end of the trial, the district court issued a really remarkable order in August 2023. She found that Montana's laws and policies promoting fossil fuels were unconstitutional. Following that order, the state appealed to the Montana Supreme Court. That's why we're here in Helena this week.
This court has said that plaintiffs must show that their injuries were caused by the statute that they're challenging and will be redressed by striking it. The plaintiffs can't meet that burden here, and the district court erred in concluding that they could. It also is what introduces state agencies and the courts entangles them into very difficult policy issues.
We can eliminate every ounce of fossil fuel use in the state of Montana. No cars, no power plants, no nothing, and it will not impact the injuries that the plaintiffs are alleging. And that's an immutable fact because of the nature of the problem.
Previous generations failed, frankly. They didn't do their job. And so for me, the responsibility comes down to, if we don't do this, no one will. I trust myself, and I trust my fellow plaintiffs, and I trust my generation more than I trust anyone else to do the job.
And not just that, not just trust in the legal team and in plaintiffs and in ourselves, but also trust in our Supreme Court and trust in the process.
I'd like to graduate from college. It's a harder task than I thought it was going to be. No, I'm kidding. I'm studying global affairs, energy systems, environmental policy. My current interest is in coal communities and how they can be accounted for in whatever transition does happen over the next few decades, and making use of those people's skills and expertise and how much they know this industry and know the land, and using that to the benefit of all as opposed to erasing this industry that has been so important to Montana.
We are at Sandy Beaches on the Clark Fork River, and so this comes through Missoula, my hometown, and all the way west to here. And this is where I raft guide, so I'm down on this river at least once a day in the summer, and we come right through this little gorge here and keep going a bunch of miles downriver. This is why I do the legal things that I do, is so that places like this can stay beautiful, they can stay healthy, and that they can stay accessible for the people of Montana and all the people who visit.